Hi guys, welcome back to another video. In this video we shall be fixing this HST. It's in the lovely Midland Mainline livery, and I actually had this one in double O gauge a while back, and transitioning over to N gauge I sold it, so it's nice to sort of have it back in a way. But bought us off a lovely chap, Sam. If you're watching this is your one, so we'll fix her up, and I'll show you what's involved with fixing it. Basically, he suspected, and he's not wrong, one of these is broken. Now I've literally just taken this out of a class 25. They're the same bogey posts between the HST and the 25. So you can source these. These are from Farish and Spares. And I can tell that there's two needed. One of them's cracked and the other one's actually like completely broken. This is just I believe this is more or less just like an age thing. The plastics can become quite brittle, and because there's a pin that goes through here, it creates a weak point on plastic. Over time, all that pressure just basically builds up into a split and it cracks apart. So it's just one of those things that happens, but it's quite involved to just change one of these. I mean, it can be done. I mean, in my eyes it's relatively easy, but it's just time consuming. So I know we're going to need two of them, and whilst you're here, this is a pool type chassis. I say it's like a 4x4, so it's driven rear and front. I call them the 4x4 pool chassis, but I believe, and if you look at the wheels there, they're the darkened wheels, so that indicates to me that it's quite new, relatively speaking. And I believe that this loco was probably one of the early ones that came out when Bachmann bought Graham Farish, because it's a pool chassis, but it's not made in pool, it's made in China. So this will probably be the last chassis type that Graham Farish / Bachmann made before they went to the split chassis type. So without further ado, let's get this thing on the track and actually see what it's doing, and see how the motor's running. I think to the track. Okay, so here we are. We're just going to chuck some power on. Now I'm literally going to put this at quarter throttle and go forwards and backwards. You can hear it whining a little bit. There you go. Right, she's just stopped. Okay, so I think she really does want to run, and it's literally going to be the gears binding up, and now she's not doing anything. Right, I think what we need to do is get the shell off and tear it down and just see what's going on here. The motor moved, so that's a good start. I mean, I wasn't really expecting it to move even that as far as it did then. I thought it was going to just stop, because effectively a split bogey post will be a bit like a split gear on a loco, but not in sync with the wheels. So let's go over to our bench and we'll start stripping her down. See what we've got going on in here. I think what I'm intrigued to know is whether we need to get these bogey posts off, and I'm intrigued to know whether there's split gears as well, and also I mean really that's going to be it. It's going to be a gear issue because the motor was just running there, and then if there's any pickup issues, we will rectify those issues later on once we know the gears are good. That's how I'll do it. So let's get back over to the bench and we'll have a look. Okay, so here we are at my trusty little bench. Now I've put a bit of foam down because hard surface might scrape the livery, and I don't want that. So you just got to take care. And this is another reason I'm not actually cleaning it first, the shell, because that'll just come. That's like the last thing you do. Right, so this shell needs to come out and up. So what I mean by that is in here, see if the light gets it, that piece just there is the chassis, and it goes into a little hole on the back of the shell. So in our case here, I'm going to slide the shell this way and hold the chassis and pull that way, so like that, okay? So like that, as much as it will go. And you just levering it out like that. I've just lifted the back out, the front's staying in for a second. So out and out, just like that. Now the shell can be put to one side safely, and I'll just take this foam away. So we are left with a black chassis and the bogey posts. Now it's quite simple to take these out. Just remember though, because I've come a cropper in the past, what you want to do, I've got a variety of marker pens, and it just happens I've got a silver one here. So what I'm going to do on here is just mark for forwards, front. So when I put it back together, for my sake, it's just easier. I mean, because it looks fairly symmetrical looking at it like this. Another way to remember this actually is the round part there of the chassis. See how it's chamfered on the corners is the forward edge, and it's quite flat back here. So that'd be the rear. So I'm just removing a screw that's in the end here. Let's take that out. Let's just slide off. Put that to one side and I'll screw. And that's it. Like literally, that's it. This will come out. Okay. Now this, we're going to do this one by one. Now it's quite dirty. Yeah, there's quite a bit of oil on that. Now I'm just going to turn up. What this is, if you refer to the class 50 video, basically I'm going to turn the gear and just see if it feels a bit gnarly. Because if it does, chances are there's a broken gear in there. Not always. Sometimes there's dirt in one of the teeth, and it just binds up. Now there is something going on there. Chances are, because these gears are oiled, there's something stuck in the teeth. You really want to take your time and just inspect those gears. The best thing, now somebody's probably watching this like, you're not doing that right. Well, what you should be doing really is stripping everything into its component form. Take everything apart. Take all these gears out, clean them individually, and you know, go that way if you want to. I used to do that, but that was to, you know, if I had multiples and I wanted to sell one on, then that's what I would do to that loco. But these are my locos now, so I'm more than happy if it runs around the track. I mean, these wheels this whole thing needs a good clean, really. I'm tempted to clean it. The reason I keep turning this is because it bound up just a second ago, and I suspect there was something in it. I reckon it was a bit of something in the teeth of the gears. That's actually pretty good. Right, so what I'm going to do here is zoom in and show you the problem. So this one hasn't snapped. However, look at this bogey post, and if you look at that pin there, and I'll get the light to bounce around this, it looks alright actually, doesn't it, there? I'm going to turn it over. Now look at the other side. Oh look, there's a crack. And it originates from where that pin is, because that's the spline side of the pin, and it's been rammed in there. And that was probably done at the factory, and over time, it's just, there you go, you see that? So this is a problem. Over time, it being rammed in there has just forced it apart, a bit like shoving a wedge in a brick, it will split it apart. So that is a problem. So the whole thing needs to be taken apart, which is not bad because it does need a pretty good degrease. So we'll come back to that in a second. Now this is the front one. Now I'm going to just remove the front. It's the same as the rear. There's a flat-headed screw in the front. That just slides off. And I know this one's snapped, so I'll just take that out. Yeah, so can you see the bits still left in there? And you see here, there's just too much oil on it. So that'll go to one side. So that's definitely going to have to be pulled apart. And if we're lucky, this will turn okay. Kind of turns okay. Yeah, so there's something on the gear there, so let's just have a little look at that. I don't know if you can see this. I wish my lighting and camera was better. Just about there. There's something on the gear just there. I'm not saying that's giving it a notchy feel, but that wouldn't necessarily be helping. I don't think it really matters too much because the whole thing's getting stripped down now. Now I'm going to show you this. So we're going to pull this apart right now. So a flathead screwdriver. In the end, you see how it's got a bit of a wedge shape. I don't ram the screwdriver in. I get it and push against it nicely and just turn it 90 degrees. And I hope you heard that. It pops off. And that's it. It's ready to come apart. So there you go, she's out. Bogey post, that is all going to get degreased. And here we go. Here's our wheels and our pickups and things. So to take a wheel off, I hook my sausages around the tops of the wheels, and I'm aiming to push on that bit there with my thumb. And try not to stab yourself with those contacts. That's one wheel out. Now what I'm going to do is just check this cog. I'm applying sideways load and I just give it a bit of a spin. Now that gear I don't think is cracked. We're only really going to know once we clean it off. So that'll go to one side. So really this is a half decent video because I'm literally stripping this thing down. We'll do the same on this wheel. I just literally click into these bogey posts, which is what the problem is. The bogey post, that one's good, that feels okay. Put that to one side. Those contacts are literally falling off. And there is a lot of oil on here, so I'm quite impressed that it had good continuity. But everything's going to need degreasing here. That's coming off as well. Now I've got new ones of these as well. I don't think I'm going to put them on because I'll just rebend this into the correct shape. So again, Farish and spares, see all the oil on it, that'll all have to come off because oil is basically an insulator. It doesn't conduct very well. Right, the first thing I'm going to do here is that pin. Now can you see how it's splined here? That means the pin came in the side of the plastic and was pushed in from this direction. So that means we've got to push it out from this direction, which is also not all the way out. So let's give it a little bit of a heave-ho, and she's out. Just like that. And you can see what I mean here now. One end's like chamfered, the other's splined. So when this goes back in, it'll go in that way. Not necessarily, it won't go into this post ever again, that's going in the bin, but don't ever try and put the post in this thing in the other way around. So again, everything's getting degreased here. Next thing to come out is this gear. Get that off, we'll degrease that later. And we will inspect the gears, the teeth later on as well, to make sure that it is alright. Don't want any bent teeth, that can also cause issues. Now I have a knife here now. I'm going to put it along the side of the gear. It's the only thing that really I found, well actually I'm going to use the back side of the knife. It's the only thing really that I found works quite well at removing these without destroying the gears. So that's one lifted up like that, because he's popping in and out like the wheels, the axles do. That's sopping wet as well, so we'll degrease that. Just got to take your time here and not not screw the gears up. So once you've got one side out, it should be quite easy just to sort of like lever it out. That's out. Last one. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a pot of isopropyl alcohol, IPA. That's what everyone refers to all the time. Now it's an alcohol, so you don't want to get it really on your hands, otherwise it'll get absorbed into you. I don't think it gets you drunk. Hasn't worked for me yet because I use gloves. But I tend to use a brush. I'm not going to be cleaning this, but you can see how broken it is. I need to clean all the other bits, and I will also need to clean all the bits on this one too. I might just show you how to take. I'll show you how to put this coupling in, but I won't show you how to take it out because it's exactly the same as the other bogie. So you put a screwdriver in that wedge there and twist, and it will pop down and off, and you'll have access to all the same pieces. They're all exactly the same. Bogie posts are the same front to back. So anyway, this can go in the bin now. Unless you want it back, Sam. That's, I think I've got a collection of broken bits, but we'll make a trophy out of them or something. It wouldn't be a bad shout actually, would it? Get to like 1,000 subscribers or something and make a trophy out of all the broken bits from Growing Farish. I think what we should do is all collectively as a public just like save all our broken bits up and get our money back. Okay, so what I'm going to do is clean this lot times 2, because I'm going to take the other bogie apart off screen, and we'll be back with completely clean parts, okay? And we'll go from there. So for me it's going to be about half an hour. For you it's going to be instant. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so I have degreased everything here, and I just wanted to show you quick. I've literally got a glass jar with alcohol in it, and all you do is you hold the bits with tweezers, and I use this little brush and just brush the stuff off. So you see in the bottom of there, it's all skanky. That's all the stuff that's come off these locos. So that really needs changing at some point. But yeah, and I just blow dry them, or like you can blow a bit of air on them, or if you haven't got an air compressor, just let them air dry, I guess, or dry them with some tissue paper. That normally works for me with the tissue paper. Grab yourself a bog roll, you know. I just need to go through these because now they're sort of like, whoops, now they're degreased. Let's just put that to one side. Now these contacts are degreased, I need to make sure that they're going to be like good, because some of them were a little bit bent into weird shapes. So let's put our wheels on our bogies. Bogies to one side. We've got all our gears. Now I was going through these, and what you want to do is, now that they're degreased, is that one's probably easier to see actually there. Just have a look inside the teeth and make sure that nothing's wedged in any of them. I've had a look at these already, but it's really the only way to do it is when they're degreased, and no oil or grease on them or anything. I'm gonna I'll put this all together dry, and I hope that they mesh properly. Now, when you're doing this, you don't want to just soak them in the alcohol. You want to put them in, pull them out. You want to be pretty quick with the plastic parts in the isopropyl alcohol, because, not that I've seen it happen, but I have a hunch that I reckon it can swell the plastic. If you left the plastic in there like overnight, I reckon the gears in one way just wouldn't work, because they'd swell up. But that might not happen, but it's just something to be conscious of. You know, chemicals do weird things to plastic. So what I'm going to do, like on this one here, this blade, I know that that's got to be about there, and the same with the other side. I would recommend, if yours are in pretty bad nick, because they don't cost that much, just buy yourself a new set of these. when you buy like bogey posts or anything. These aren't in great shape for this loco, to be fair. They actually look like they're corroded, which is, I've had some really old locos with, I mean, it depends how they're kept, I guess, but I reckon Bachmann made these out of a slightly cheaper material at the time. You could sand them, but just be wary. If you sand them, what you do is you create not a flat spot anymore, so you can sand them to clean them up. Is it worth it? Probably not. For a couple of quid you can buy brand new ones. If you're already buying parts from Farish and Spares, that would be the way to go. I have got new ones of these, but we'll go back to the I'm cheap. I don't think there's any reason to chuck these away, so I'm going to make good of them. Unless I had some really bad ones, then I would put new ones in there. Well, time will tell actually, because I might end up having to put them in there, but I want to give it a go with these. You know, it wasn't a power issue we were having, it was a gear issue. So I'll just show you again. These, I'm hoping you can see that on camera. I'll show you another one. So what I'm holding with the tweezer, that part there and the other side, they should be basically straight. And then if you look down, these two bits without the hole on the end should bend, and they'll go against the back of the wheels ever so slightly, and they should all be the same. These, one of them was a bit weird, so we'll come to that in a minute. And there's a very important thing I need to tell you in a second as well, with how these contacts go on, because they're not identical per bogie. They're the opposite on each bogie for this chassis. Got to remember that, otherwise you might just get smoke and it won't be from the motor. So what we need to do, I try every time I make a video, I try and make it as short as I can, and I end up making them about half an hour long, if not more. So we've got some lovely new bogey posts here. Look at that. How cool is that? The first thing I'm going to do is check that the pin for the gear is actually going to fit in the hole. Oh, and it doesn't, because I knew it wasn't going to. I've been here before. So what I'm going to do, just to be sure, I have got some of these, and we are going to 1.55. Okay. I'm going to get a drill bit, and what we're going to do is basically drill the hole on that post so we don't cause any stress over time. Because the last thing you'd want to do is split a brand new bogey post. So what we've got here, I've got a selection of drill bits. I'll just double check this. This pin is 1.55. And I'll check the other pin. 1.5, say 5. And our drill bit is, just under, over. So if we did that, the pin technically would fall out. What I'm going to do, I'm just going to do this. This is just under 1.6. I'm doing one side. I've just literally, you just saw that open. I'm thinking the plastic was flexible, so it should be a nice fit. Ooh, yeah. Oh yeah. Right, get yourself a 1.6 drill bit, or 1.57. Now I've gone through one side only, and that side that I went through will be for the spline to engage in that post. So I only went this side, and yeah, I think I'm going to have to go the other side as well. So 1.6 drill bit all the way through. Yoink. What you don't want is in here, just in there, there'll be a little bit of a burr now on that plastic, so you just want to get rid of that with a knife. Just like that. The reason I'm doing that is so that it doesn't bind up the gear when it goes back in. We've got getting a gear, and we get our little pin and we'll put that through. Now that should, so it'll go down to the splines and the gear will turn lovely. So the next bit is just pushed in the splines, just like that. Beautiful. I've never drilled those up before, but I think that's a very good way of doing that. Now next up is on your bogey post there was a big idler in the middle and then two small ones either side. So we're going to go for the middle. That will just pop in. Ow. He says. I'm going to start one side with a screwdriver. Some of these, the pin slides out the side. Very tight that. And every time you put a gear in, give it a spin, it should run lovely. If it doesn't, you've got an issue, and you need to address that issue before it becomes a big problem. Now we're going to go for a small one. Check it all runs smoothly again, and she does. Check it runs smoothly. Cool. We're not putting the wheels on yet. What we've got to do is put one of these on. So don't worry about this yet. We just do the first one now, however you want to do it. So that first one that goes on, that's the little one that goes on, and obviously this aims in the middle. This next contact is over that one, and you see how the bits that we bent earlier have come out. They will go back into the rim, and this is a bit fiddly now, so I'm holding that side with that finger, turning it over, and we're going to basically copy what we've just done on this side. Now once they're on, grab yourself a wheel. Does not matter which way around that is just yet, the wheel, and you've got to hold these in when this goes on. You could probably put a bit of tape over them or something to hold it. So I'm not popping the wheel in yet. What I'm doing, I'm checking either side to make sure that the contacts are actually behind the wheels. Okay, there's another way of doing this, but I'm just showing you this way for the time being. And that's in. Okay, don't let go of your contacts yet, because they will just ping off. Just check that's free to rotate. And actually, feels a bit, doesn't feel great. Alright, I'll go back to the other. I'm going to put the other wheel in a minute. I'm going to put this other wheel in, and we'll check that thing in a sec. Just make sure your wheels are the same way round. I like doing this. So you see how the shaft is there and there's no insulator. But on this side, and our contact needs to go behind the wheel, like that. There's a plastic ring around the shaft there, so I just like to make sure that they're the same. So the contacts are good, and in we go. So that wheel's in there. So there's something not playing nicely there. There should be a bit of float, not a lot. Well, especially on this, there's next to nothing. I think this wheel has something in it. And when I say wheel, I mean the gear on the wheel, just there. Okay, so what it was, there was actually, it looked like a bit of super glue or something was just trapped in one of the gears, and it's absolutely fine now. So it's free to turn, because I was just worrying I'd cracked a gear or something putting it together, but I haven't. You should be able to, in perfect terms, you should be able to just push that under its own weight and it would rotate all the assembly. I'm putting very light pressure on that and it's turning the gear. Hold both ends and you should be able to very lightly move it all. You can kind of feel if something's wrong by actually putting your finger on the wheels to rotate. I'm pretty happy with that, that feels pretty good. So these contacts now, I think what they should be like, I'll just bend one of these so you can see. Now I've done quite a lot of locos and they share this similar contact. Now if you're concerned, I would buy new ones really, but I'm not buying new ones because these are here. That's how they should kind of look, okay? But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to assemble the other bogie and I'm going to show you the difference between the two, okay? Because this is very important. Remember this with the contacts. This is specific. It's not specific to split chassis. It's specific to all the other chassis, okay? We'll be back in a second when we've got the other bogie to this point. Okay, so we're back. Just like that, the other bogey's made. Now this is the important part that I was on about. So we've just put, this is the one that I just showed you being put together. Now when these bogies are in the loco, notice the contacts on the top. Can you notice the inside ones now are both on one side of the track? That's how you want it on yours. It doesn't matter if you turn it around, see, it's always going to be that side. However, what can happen is, I've had a bag from Farish and Spares of these contacts before, and they've all been handed on this side. Now that's very dangerous for a novice in a way, not knowing what to look for when they assemble their loco, because effectively, this isn't on them, but if you get a bag of all of the contacts, and you get multiples of this one, that one will go here, but neither of those two can go on this one. If I put them like this, it might be easier to see what I'm trying to get out here. They're different contacts, they're handed. Now it doesn't matter which bogie you decide to put them on, they just have to be exactly the opposite of each other all the time. So I can turn this one all the way around and it's the opposite. I'm hoping this makes sense. What it is on the chassis, both bogies deliver power to the loco via this centre rail and the outside of the chassis. If you've got both sides of the rail, i.e. the wrong contacts on these, the left hand and right hand rail going to the one bar there, that bar is just going to heat up. It won't do anything. It'll probably break your controller or set fire to the plastic or something. So you've got to be so careful with these. I literally have got a bag there which has just got like right hand contacts in it. Bad idea. So just make sure you've got a pair of one hand and a pair of the other hand, and you'll be good to go. I mean, you can copy that exactly if you like. Just make sure the bigger ones go on the outer side of those little ones. But it doesn't matter if you put those ones on this. Like if I put the bogies on the other side of the train like this, it'll still work just fine, actually. So these run freely. Next thing to do. So what we got? We've got bogie frame. So this will eventually go in there like that. In fact, let's do that now because one of these will be like that. I will just check. Yeah. So on some of these, on newer, I haven't found one yet. On dapole ones, they've got, to denote the front bogie frame, there is, obviously you got a ladder which is on the rear as well. There's actually like a, I would call it a wire cutter that comes off the front. And it just, that's like a track blade type thing to cut any debris on the track, stops derailment on the loco, helps prevent it. But these haven't got that, so the front and rear bogie frames are the same. So the first thing to do is, on the bogie post we've changed, those two little bits there go into this end with those two little holes there. Start it there. Now don't just ram it in, take a good look at those, because sometimes they can hang up on these. So as you're pushing it down, you just need to make sure that they're not catching. And that's gone in lovely. And it's still nice and smooth to turn, okay? And so then this is the front one. That's the front of our loco. That will go in that like that, okay? With the wedgy bit facing inboard. Now, on the rear one, we'll do the same thing, like that, get it in there, and at this point, with our clean coupling, this is going to go in that hole, like that. If an easier way to remember would be on this little bit here, the spring's facing down towards the track, and so is that little part on the coupling. Now as it's there, we want to click this in, but we've also got to take note of these not catching on the bogie frame. They're normally a right old pain to get together, so I really hope I can show you this. Not easy at all. Always struggle with these. Now that's just hanging up, the frame's just hanging up, there we go, that's clicked in. Let's get these back on, and once I've got access, I'll just give this a bit of a wipe. Bit of a wipe there, and on here. Do that with alcohol if you wanted. Okay, so forward, this is the rear one, so I guess the coupling's at the back, so we're just going to be careful, don't ram anything in. There's a contact there, we don't want to bend that, so what we're going to do is put it in at a slight angle and twist. I'm going to go for this back shell. I'm not squashing this properly, I'm just enough so it's naturally stopping there. And that just opens up the gap on that contact so it doesn't get caught when we slide this on. And so what you're looking at in there, you see them contacts that I bent earlier. When I push down on this, that one should be on this. When I push down on this, that one should be on that. So they need to spring up a bit more. Okay, so how are we going to do that? Well, we're not going to buy new contacts because I'm cheap. So I think they're bent up now, so they're looking like that. Okay, they're pretty high. And we'll go putting this back in here like that. And put that on there like that. Now, yeah, so if I screw this on, it's actually, that's what you want, just like that, okay? So screw that one on, that's good. Again, I unscrew to feel it click and then screw in, okay? The reason for that is if you just go in and screw it in, you can cross thread the threads, cross thread the screws. Just check it moves, wiggle it around a bit, free it up, la-di-da, that's good. Do the same on the front. Now I know I have to change these contacts because they're the same as what we just had on the other one. Another good reason for having good tweezers here, guys. because these kind of bend a little bit when I'm trying to bend things like this. My actual tweezers bend. It's not ideal. Wedge shape facing inboard. You don't want to force anything, so if it's not going on, there's probably a reason. Now I'm just squidging that a little bit. Okay, that looks good. That can go on there. So the more careful you are with things like this, the better overall it'll run. Attention to detail is actually quite important. I give them a bit of a wiggle like that, just so that it's settled down. I'm not going to do anything with the motor at the moment, or am I? Yeah, I might do actually. Do not do this, okay? I'm going to show you my cheating way. Please don't hate me for this. I'm going to get my knife in there and just get the crap out of between each commutator blade. And if I slip, I've just broken the motor, so I would recommend you don't do this. This isn't a motor servicing video or anything like that. Just get it running first. Okay, so I'm showing you that just because I want to make sure there's no crap between the commutator blades, otherwise it makes it run really hot and shorts it out basically. Let's go try this on the track as it is now, because I think we've got a good one now. Now there is something, I'm feeling these and they're not as loose as I would like them, so we might have to come back in a second. But yeah, let's go over to the track and see what we've got. Okay, so we're back at the track. Let's see what we get. Wow, okay. I'm going to run this for 5 minutes and see what we get. And we'll be back in a minute. That runs really quietly for a pool type chassis. Here she comes, first lap. Right, we'll be back in a minute. Okay, so it's had a bit of a run. I mean, that's pretty good. I think I can make it better though. So what I'm going to do, these bogies are still quite rough. Oh, not rough, they're quite restrictive, I think. So let's go back to our bench and we'll have a little look. Okay, so what I'm going to do here, I wouldn't recommend doing this. The loco works okay. It's not as fast as I thought it was going to be. So I'm going to remove the bogie. Just have a little look. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to scrape the corners of the bogie post top in here, because if I can free up the bogies a little bit, I think what's happening here is they're a bit too tight and it just slows it down, so it's just obvious. So you can see there I've just chamfered the top there. I'm just going to do the rest of them and then we'll be back in a minute, okay? Okay, so I've basically just put it in. I just basically run around a knife and chamfer the edges on the top of the bogie, just so it allows it to move around a bit more freely. I know I wouldn't normally recommend that, but it's this fine adjustments that can really pay off. So anyway, I think that's basically it. They're free enough now. You can test this again if you wanted. I know that's gonna be fine. The motor in there is much cleaner than it was. So off screen, what I did is I actually cleaned this out with a Q-tip with some isopropyl alcohol, just to get in there and sort of clean it. The ideal situation would be to clean it thoroughly out inside there by disassembling the whole loco, which I'm not going to do. That's what you should probably do, and that's what I would normally do if I was servicing a loco. But in this case, I just want it running, and it does run really quite well now. So we'll get the shell back on, and we'll get some carriages behind it, I think. Just enjoy it going around the track. So actually, before we do run it around the track, to put the shell on, forward, put her in. I don't think it doesn't really sit anywhere as such. You just got to click it over here at the top here. So once it's in, it just kind of just fell in there. There we go, it's in. Then push the shell that way, like that. Okay, that's it. That is literally it. I think what it needs is a bit of a dust down, to be honest with you. Now, you're probably better off with a harder bristle brush, I think. Bristle. So I'm gonna go get one of those. Yeah, so here we go. We've got a Rowney, Dollar Rowney. It's from Poundland. You can get 2 in a packet. They're actually really good brushes. So this is a harder bristle brush, and it'll get all the dust out of the tiny gaps and things. I won't bore you too much with this, but it helps. It helps with all the little things, all the little details around the windscreen and things like that. Like I say, I'm just trying to get the dust off, and then to actually clean the side of the loco, what I tend to use are baby wipes. Don't use any alcohol or anything like that, and actually even baby wipes might be too bad. You'd have really good results actually just using water and a bit of washing up liquid. Like I say, that's probably more or less it for the minute until I get myself some. I'll use washing up liquid, I think, because I know this white is normally white. It's a bit grubby, but that's all right. See, on our coach here, it's really quite dusty on the roof, so I would recommend not breathing in dust. It's probably not a good one. So yeah, guys, I'm going to carry on doing this. You can see what I'm doing. It's fairly straightforward, isn't it? What we want to try and avoid though is not like scrubbing the side of the loco, because you can take the decals off and things. I'm just getting the most of the dust off of this. So yeah, I'll see you in a minute on the track. Right guys, that about concludes the video for the HST Midland Mainline. I hope you enjoyed the video. I try and be as descriptive as I can in these videos, but they do go on a long time, and so do I, really. I do probably chat about stuff I don't need to talk about, but I feel like most of the time I need to say something rather than not, because there will be something that might get missed. Now, most people that do this as a profession will completely strip this thing down and rebuild it from component parts back up. I don't see the need for that in this case, because this logo isn't for anybody else, and also I don't need to, because it works. So generally speaking, if you get a squeal on the shaft, you oil it. If you have a broken gear, you change it. If it ain't broke, do not fix it. I'm leaning more towards nowadays putting oil on, a touch of oil possibly on the gears, but you just got to bear in mind when you put a grease or an oil on, it will also attract dirt. So on that fine note, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it's helped. If you have similar issues or symptoms with your loco, it looks like it wants to run and it's like really intermittent like it was earlier, chances are you got a broken bogey post or something gear related. So thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.